In addition to choreographing gold medal winning programs, you're also known as bringing an audience to the sport. And you often chose popular music like Simon and Garfunkel, the Beatles, and the Rolling Stones. So do you think that skating may hurt itself by focusing too much on classical music?
Well, I think, skating has a big problem. We all know. And anything that we can do to modernize it, make it more accessible to the general public is a good thing. And I know that, vocal music, it might come into play in the next couple of years. And I know a lot of people are nervous of that. And I'm like, you know what? To just listen to the music in the last flight of the, was it the ladies event? And you've got Swan Lake and you've got Bolero and you've got, it's like, yeah, it's time for something different. It really is. I love all music, but I like change.
Well, Jenny talks about how the skating world is perhaps too hung up on classical music, and you speak of change. One of the things you're best known for is bringing some sexual tension to Stars on Ice that has never been seen in an ice show. I think we all remember you putting Paul Martini in tight jeans, finding any excuse to putting those pair guys in leather pants. You shocked us all with Chen Lu's Black Magic Woman and all of your numbers with Katarina Witt, and who can forget Tuffy Huff. So, do you think the skating world is too safe? And how do you get those typically wound skaters to loosen up? Because you had Jenny Mino doing those Sandra Bezic pairs lifts where she's going like that, Jenny had her hair down. I think we all remember them being so just perfect and always looking like a bride and groom on the ice.
Yeah, well, because you gotta have fun, if you're going to be out there 10 hours a day like we were on Stars on Ice creating this stuff, you better darn well have fun, and sex is fun. I think people relate to romance and love and sensuality and sexuality, and that's all part of it. And you can't do it with the younger kids, and nor should you. It should always be age appropriate. But as they get older, it's why not? Because the audience wants to feel it. And I think what Barb and Paul, what we found with Barb and Paul was this, raw, respectful. It was still always respectful. Sexuality that you could, you wanted to feel. You sat there and you wanted to feel something. And so that's really what I'm after. And skating is a sensual sport, isn't it? So, Peggy was like, come on, this isn't, she was beautiful and balletic and elegant, but it was still sensual. So, we took it to a different place just to make it accessible. Our guys, the fan base is predominantly women, so why wouldn't you put the guys in jeans? It's funny because our that number that we did with the guys, the Elvis, what was the remake on that? The Elvis one with all the guys, the Elvis remake. That had, so many hits on YouTube where, compared to anything else, because it reached out. It was just fun. So yeah, I'm open to anything, and that's part of it. I love a good classical piece, and I love a good contemporary piece. It's, if you're going to do it all day long, then push in different directions.
Well, speaking of sensuality, during the 91-92 season, Katarina Witt managed to defeat Debbie Thomas once again during Debbie's farewell competition. This is one of my earliest memories of skating. Katarina skated to a Louis Armstrong number in this red sequined catsuit. Tell us everything. There was not a lot of skating going on, and I didn't care. If I was a judge on that panel, she would have won. It does not matter.
You see, that piece was taken from, or my idea in my head was, sort of the old, glam movie star who barely had to move to be like drippingly sexy, how can I explain it? Just less is more, and actually that's something that's frustrating with the new system is that there's never an opportunity for less is more, and you could never have a Lulu moment or a moment, that's not true. Yes, you can. It's just more difficult to find those moments because you're so busy flailing. But it's the idea of just subtlety in the movement. When she said almost no skating, but it was just a whole lot of fun. I mean, the program was done for Stars on Ice. It wasn't done for a competition, but why not? It was fun. I loved it. I loved Louie. I loved her. I loved the red jumpsuit. It was just cat, irresistible. You can't contain her. You can't contain Katarina Witt, nor should you.
I love it too. And during this time, when you
ding ding ding.
When you choreographed for Stars on Ice, you did so with a group of several choreographers, including Michael Siebert, Leanne Miller, Jane Torval, and Christopher Dean. How do you work with so many strong personalities?
We collaborated. We're all collaborators. We're all partners, pair skaters, dancers. We all know how to collaborate. It was an exciting time, and I would, I'd look over on the ice and see Jane and Chris there, and and pinch myself, going, I'm directing this, yeah, it was collaboration and easy peasy. It was just idea on top of idea on top of idea, and I love that most about the shows or Battle of the Blades or Stars on Ice or whatever it is, when you've got the music director and the costume designer and set designer and the choreo, all of that together. It's you put all those people in a room and it creates ideas. A lighting designer, it's just it's the best. It's so much fun. It's the best.
Well, after the 2003 season, you left Stars on Ice, and prior to that season, Scott Hamilton and Christy Yamaguchi left the tour as well. And there was once a time when the tour was selling out arenas like Madison Square Garden, yet this past year, we saw it only have 6 stops here in the United States. So what do you think, Sandra, it'll take for the tour to be viable again?
Wow. That's a loaded question. That goes back to the issues in figure skating right now and its popularity. It's not accessible, and we're losing our audience, and we're not, building stars and creating stars, it's a shame, and there's not one solution to it. But the star system has to come back before people are interested in, paying to come see them, and the sport has to reinvent itself somehow. I think it's telling in Canada when, Battle of the Blades gets, way higher ratings than any legit figure skating competition. It's a problem.
Yeah. Well, we've spent so much time discussing the process of creation. And when you directed Stars on Ice, there was an extended rehearsal period in Lake Placid. And I remember reading reports back in the day when you used to first go to Simsbury before Lake Placid and, that whole creation process. Do you think audiences can tell that perhaps producers aren't investing as much time and that everything seems a bit recycled? Do you think that it's diluting the final product?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think as long as I think you can't rush the process. Yes, I think that you can do a beautiful show over a matter of short period of time if that's what it is. We've done it. I know you can do that. It takes a lot of prep in the first place, and a lot of work with a few people over a long period of time, then you can pull it together in a short period of time. I believe that is very possible. However, the audience isn't stupid, and they know when something has depth and when it doesn't, and they know when they've seen it before over and over and over again, and you can't pull the wool over their eyes, and nor should you. And I think. I mean, I think you can't rush the process. You can't. And those are times when we experimented and tried to push boundaries. And, I mean, there were certain pieces that I really loved that, took time. Like the Spanish one with Brian Orser and, Christian Gordiev Greenkopf, or what was it? It was a Miles Davis Concerto de Aranjuez, or the Adam Cohen with Elena and Dennis and Katya and Ilya. I mean, you can't tune that out quickly. You can't microwave it, and it takes time. It just does. And it's really unfortunate. It's just unfortunate that it's not affordable anymore because people aren't buying tickets, and people aren't buying tickets because skating has lost its connection to the general public. The super fan is wonderful, but it's the casual person, who is bored and not interested in turning on the TV for us.
Mm-hmm. Well, Kristi Yamaguchi once said that her real dream as a child was to win the Olympics so that she could skate in an ice show. There aren't many ice shows left for Olympic medalists to perform in. With the Olympics coming up, what should the goal of an Olympic champion be when they step off of the medal podium?
That's tough because there are no vehicles for them. And or there are not many vehicles for them. And I haven't been to Asia to see, what the shows are like there. It's a sad state. I have no good advice there. I don't know. It's such a complicated thing, and you can never go into the Olympics, and you can never compete at Worlds for, the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Like you can't do that because that won't happen. You have to go in for that pure reason. But it's a shame that these skaters can't come out and have places where they can go to perform. It's a shame.